Okay, now I don't do many rabbit hole videos, but this is going to be a rabbit hole video on Silent Hill. Stay with me. I was thinking back when I was younger, and I played the original Silent Hill, and I didn't play the second one, but I watched it being played, and then I played Silent Hill: The Room, which I feel like was a good game, but I kind of have the distinct feeling that Silent Hill fans did not like Silent Hill: The Room, um, because when I bring it up, it's not that popular, and these are people who actually play the games. Um, Sometimes I'm not really into a series. Okay, um, when I say I played Kingdom Hearts, I mean just that. I played it without making it my identity. I booted the game up, I played it, I enjoyed it, and I said, well, that's nice. And that was it. That's the full extent. I didn't draw art for it, I didn't join groups, I didn't start posting nonstop, I didn't change my name to Sora. Um, Obviously, some people cannot separate those two things. It does not have to be your whole life. So with Silent Hill, it was kind of the same thing. I played the game, um, and let me tell you this: for those of you who are younger, just because it was on the PS1 does not mean it was not scary as fucking shit, bro. It was a scary game. I mean, Resident Evil was pretty scary too, but Silent Hill had a whole thing going for it that was just different. But this rabbit hole, what I wanted to talk to y'all about is I remember playing the games and I was like, man, you know what? So I typed in, what year did Silent Hill 1, the game start production? They said the production started September 1996. The game is released in February 23rd, 1999 in North America. And the reason I was thinking about this is there was an old movie, and this is also not going to be a very popular take. There was an old movie with Ben Affleck when he was really younger, really just starting out, it feels like, called Phantoms. Some of you might know the reference. Ben Affleck was the bomb at Phantoms from the Jay and Silent Bob, or it was either Jay and Silent Bob or Clerks. I know it was written by that Kevin Whatsits, and Phantoms. So I rewatched it the other day because I liked the movie. I genuinely liked the movie. I know the movie is not great, and I know it doesn't have a big budget, and I know that it's like not everyone's cup of tea. It's actually kind of weird and all that stuff, but I genuinely enjoy the movie. I'll watch it every few years, whatever, right? It's got, it is what it is. But I was watching the movie, and I kept thinking, I kept going, man, why does this remind me of Silent Hill? Why does this remind me of Silent Hill? And I look up the release dates, and they're very similar to Silent Hill. And I was like, did Silent Hill copy Phantoms? That wouldn't make any sense, right? Silent Hill copying Phantoms. That wouldn't make any sense to me. That wouldn't make, like, my brain, this game, you know, did this game copy Phantoms? And then I get to thinking, like, well, what if Phantoms copied Silent Hill, which would make more sense? But they came out, like, around the same time, and their production was similar and stuff. And I was like, well, okay, there's no way that they just independently of each other came up with the same very niche, very, very oddly similar idea, right? Because there's a lot of coincidence in these movies. The movie and the game, sorry. And I just I had that nagging feeling. I was like, bro, something's missing here. So then I was looking up, trying to figure out who wrote the Silent Hill stuff. This Team Silent. And I found out that, you know, because the years were so similar, I couldn't find out why I had that nagging feeling. And the guy who wrote, this is the guy who wrote Phantoms. Now, I was like, well, who wrote Silent Hill? These guys. And I was like, okay, well, how'd they get inspired by something that came out around the same time? And it's like, then I found out, holy shit, Phantoms wasn't just a more or less a B movie. Let's be honest. Now, I know a lot of you might come in here and be like, no, I really did love Phantoms. Okay, well, it doesn't have a great score, and a lot of people did not like it. So I know I'm in a very small percentage of people who actually liked it. But I like anything this type of horror. And so when I looked up, like, what were they influenced by? What were they influenced by? The Silent Hill team, Team Silent, were influenced by a number of things, and one of which was Dean Koontz wrote Phantoms long before this came out. Their inspiration. And I thought this was so they've got, hold on, I gotta put Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1. Yeah, horror films like Jacob's Ladder, Stephen King, David Lynch, and I know, okay, I know that some of this was like obvious to some of you because they specifically cited, I mean, this is just fucking this garbage AI that's up here now all the time. So you can mostly largely ignore this because I read the other article. I don't know why it's not up here. But what I thought was really funny, guys, is that they borrowed sort of the fog, right? from Stephen King's The Mist. And they had a bunch of different horror inspirations of just books, I guess. Books they read. I mean, what's weird to me is like, I know Stephen King, Dean Koontz, Wes Craven, you name it. You name it. People who write books, right? I felt like if I was a team working in a country where the primary language is not English or something like that, like, they obviously, they took inspiration from, like, they said, the Silent Hill team sat down and said, we want real horror. We want real horror. Who do we look to? And they said, well, there's a bunch of horror writers that do very well for themselves. We really need to listen to these guys. And I had an epiphany about why all this stuff is so timeless. It's because they had the foresight and the knowledge to do that. They didn't just make a horror game, as one does. They really sat down and they studied these horror masters and really went into it with the idea of like, okay, this is what makes each of these, 4 books scary. Let's put that shit into a game, And I've never thought about it before. And the reason I'm sharing this video, for those who are very impatient with my storytelling, and I feel you, it's valid. I don't edit these videos really. I just kind of spitball, and whatever comes out, comes out. It feels more organic and authentic. But it's certainly valid, my storytelling way. But the reason I'm smiling so much is because I had never really thought about, I played Silent Hill and I just never even, I just said, oh, it's a good horror. I never even considered the origins or anything, because it's like the start of a genre, right? Like, I know, and then I started thinking, man, Resident Evil. I don't even know what made them start Resident Evil. Where did they get the idea? And all these games that came out first in a series. And you start thinking about it, like, I don't know, what's a popular one that people can actually relate to, right? Final Fantasy, Call of Duty, what have you. The very first game had to have had some origin story. Now, any of the others, right? And this is why I didn't think about it. I'd never really thought about it. Why the first game in a series is so timeless and so good and so clean. And it's the same with movies. And it's the same with, I guess, anything that's the first in a line of things, the next sequel or the next book or whatever always feels a little bit cheaper, right? And then I had this epiphany. I was like, well, it's because they didn't put the same level of effort into the second thing as they did the first. Because say I'm a guy who writes a horror book and everyone loves it. Well, if I do a sequel, multiple parts, why would I change the formula for the second book? Why would I change it up at all? You guys already love it. And this is why a dumbass like me never even considered where some of these got their start, because obviously they had to be inspired by something, at least the first one. But the second one, you just copy paste the formula that you had in the beginning. You don't have to put as much foundational work into the second thing. And when I started to think about that, I started to think of all the movies that I just hated the second movie. And I feel like part of me should give them more chances, knowing that, yeah, they didn't put as much work into it, but partly the reason that it exists is because the first was just too good. So foundational, so well thought out, so cared for. all these things I'm saying. Anyway, but I had just never thought about it. And I had the realization, like, how many other people are thinking about that? But I'm not even a big fan of Silent Hill. And that's why this is a rabbit hole. Because it is 6:50 a.m. The sun has now come out. I'm obviously dying of sleep. And I have the audacity to be recording a video about the strangest little rabbit hole that I went on today. And it's like, how many people have done this same bullshit but not recorded it? I thought this might be one of those things. So let me know what you thought in the comments. And if you don't, still subscribe, because honestly, I need it real bad. If this channel doesn't do good, I might have to, do something else, and that would suck, right? Because you guys need me here. You do. Let me know in the comments.